Kristina Maca. Hi.
Thank you. Have a seat. Okay, cool.
So, first of all, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How long did it take to make it?
My first shooting day was on 21st of February, no, 3rd of February 2017. I started shooting it in October 2016, and I completed it. I completed the shooting basically in December 2019, I guess, or no, it was December 2018 actually, and then the rest of the time was editing, and really ready. It was like not too long ago, like
a couple of years almost.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it took
It's
long.
not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
People took like 4 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
You get lost into it. But tell us about you. Why you made it?
Okay, so basically I was studying in this film school, and I was studying for being a camera woman and an editor. But really, in the beginning of the study, you are tasked with making your own short film, you know. And from that moment on, I mean, additionally, like I kind of think that I always wanted more. You know, I think directing and acting always was a passion of mine, but I was thinking, okay, editing is all I'm capable of.
But the story, how did you decide to tell this story in this way?
Yeah.
More of this way, like the story itself. What is the...
So I wanted to basically give the viewer as close as possible of an impression of what it is, what it means, the experience of being a trans woman, what you sometimes have to go through, you know, which nobody else would basically understand. It's very difficult to portray. I mean, in the first chapter, T-Dating, we're talking about subtle transphobia a lot, you know. Like originally, it was intended to not even be spoken out in the movie that she's trans until the end, you know. And then, like, people were supposed to think, like, I wanted to spark this conversation, like, why are they treating her like this? Like, you know, and it was very overwhelming for me to, like, having to start to deal with subtle transphobia on a daily basis, you know. And I think in movies I see transphobia, the hard cases, sometimes, but what I don't see a lot is subtle transphobia. So basically, I consider this most part of the movie to be slice of life. I don't know if anybody knows this genre, but it's basically a genre without 3 acts. It's just a slice of the life, you know. You're as voyeuristic as you possibly can get, you know. And this is what I wanted to have, like, you know, to have people basically, if it worked out, like, hopefully to experience things that they wouldn't experience otherwise, you know, other than being a trans woman. Yeah.
In your mind, the public you are talking to is there a shape? There is a public that you are aiming specifically?
The public, basically, I'm aiming at
men or women.
I'm aiming at a public as wide as possible.
So
this is also why I shot it in English, even though it plays in Berlin, because I reach more people, and I consider it to be a female gaze. The movie is told through a female gaze, but I still build in a couple of elements that even that are addressed definitely to men, you know, that I want to address men with, you know, and but in general, I like to reach an audience as wide as possible. So it's definitely dedicated to my trans sisters, you know, but I hope that it can go wider than that, you know.
I like the scene, the long shot.
Yeah.
What did you get? You had a dolly there? How did you do the camera?
We had a gimbal and a gimbal operator. By the way, just out of interest, I'm really interested in this. How many of you, and we just honest, I just want to know, like, how many of you picked up that it was like that there were no cuts in chapter 2? Like, raise your hands. You too? You too? And you. Okay, cool. Just out of interest, yeah.
No, it shows. It shows.
What?
It's a beautiful storytelling tool, but also you managed to do it in a very beautiful way.
I saw Victoria and I was like so fucking amazed, and then I was like, okay, this is the most voyeuristic you can get, and then again I wanted to do slice of life, so this has, I wanted definitely to make a one shot, and I'm a fan of long shots, of continuous shots, as you can probably tell anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Plus, like, the story of the second chapter is also that we had to shoot it in a 48-hour festival from Maca, and it was like the most effective way to use the 48 hours is to rehearse 36 hours, then shoot it for 8, and while editing it doesn't take so long if it's a one shot. Yeah.
Any questions? Our artist joined us. Hi. They will have a beautiful performance.
Yay!
After us.
By the way, there's a couple of people here in this room right now that participated in this movie. This movie would have never been possible without all of this underground cinema community, which is very strong here in Berlin. We have two sitting over there, my DOP of Tidel and Candyclip, and Vivek here from Genuine, and Paul,
They're coming Wednesday.
Yeah?
Yeah. Wednesday night.
Yeah! I'm a fan. So I'm really happy that they're part of this. But it's like, I think there's something happening in Berlin right now where we can actually, like, spark a new wave or something, like the new age of Hollywood or something.
Yeah, there is a level of freedom of expression that is quite special here.
Yeah.
And it looks like that is not being gentrified. So it looks like that is safe for now.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I don't see how it's, because it's not, you cannot monetize it, so they will not ruin it, you know.
I guess that's...
they cannot exploit it, and so it will just stay there.
That's really the trick.
It looks like that.
Yeah.
It's quite a luck.
Yeah.
But, no, but at the same time, even here, it's still rare just to have some kind of in a way that sexually heavy topics.
Yeah.
It's still something that is not like, it's either you have to put a line, and then from this line on is for the pervs, the other line on is for the normal people.
Yeah.
There is still that kind of, like, it's not in the mind of people, and it's not even in the possibility to access it, it's in the production.
Yeah.
There is still a lack of variety of artists that are focusing on it. You guys are a good way, and I think I see you grow. I don't know, every year you come back and you're like, grow children. You're like, oh yeah, we got these other 2 and 3 and 4, and you are all pretty smart and very edgy in the way you do things. So it's interesting to watch for me. But at the same time, I can tell you, there is space for more. There's a lot of space for more. Because there is, it's absolutely now possible, and nobody gives a shit. People are enjoying actually to understand stories of other people all the time.
Yeah.
We are in that kind of luck.
In the end,
I mean, it's here. I mean, 15 square kilometers around us.
Yeah, definitely. This is a good area.
I'm not telling you everywhere, no.
This is a good area.
Definitely not.
This is a good area. No, but in the end also it's really important to make everything as rough and authentic as possible, you know, especially since it starts to like you want to have like really extreme situations that are just reflect realities also of trans women, you know. But at the same time, like you don't want to have this trans character which is the protagonist and make her like this polished, political correct version, because that doesn't work, you know. Who are the characters we look up to while growing up, you know? Like they are flawed characters, three-dimensional characters. So you just want to make it as authentic as possible. And if you can recreate something that is real, you know, that feels real at least, you know, and make it as rough as possible, then I guess you're just doing the best kind of thing you can possibly do to bring awareness for some real problems, you know?
Well, it's definitely an amazing way to get it out of the system.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I need to do this. It's like therapy for me. Yeah.
No, it's great. For that, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it works for other people too, because then you give it to other people, and then other people use it for their own thing. But there's nothing as cathartic as doing it.
Of course. I mean, if anybody, if it helps anybody, I'm so...
Well, I mean, I think there is some interesting ideas you used here. I can see how developing over time you can really start to shape the movie in your own mind.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see that. I'm looking forward to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think you will continue to do movies, right?
I'm on it.
Yeah.
Like,
what's the plan now?
Well, right now we're working on on a totally different thing right now. So it's like a feature movie which is called Flower of Vengeance. It's I'm co-directing with Vladimir Markovic, which is the main director. We shot another movie like a year before where my character appeared for a little bit, and then he decided, okay, we're gonna give her character a spin-off, right? And basically this killer who is traumatized. It's an exploitation movie, very inspired by the Japanese movies of the 70s, where, by the way, women were never, they were always had the same kind of empowerment as men, you know. There was never this need to now we need one. So it's very inspired by the 70s Japanese kung fu movies, and with the katana and everything, you know. In this movie, this character played by me basically has to take a break from her killing, because she's a professional killer, to find to get revenge on the killing of her family, which like got her into the whole thing to begin with. We're big fans of Tarantino, obviously, and we're just having fun, you know. It's like some of the people participating in this shit are here in this room again. Like, it's the same kind of crew, you know. It's like the evil landlord, we have Masha over there, and Candy, you know, and Stephanie. Well, it's like it's gonna be a super fun, but less serious kind of thing, you know. And then like
Will there be blood? Blood?
So much fucking blood. He's also in there.
My blood.
I killed you. No, but it's just like
But it's going to be like a feature?
It's a feature film, yeah. And we're almost through with it. There's some more shooting days missing. So yeah, we're also working with non-actors. We always need extras. So if anybody's interested, just approach me, basically. But yeah, that's how we do it. You know. But,
Sure.
but what I think is really cool is also the possibility to have like this. Well, she's not trans in the movie, but she's played by me, right? And to have like someone in this position just played by a trans person, and then also have a super queer fight. Fight squad, yeah. Sorry,
Fight squad.
that I have to face, that I have to go against, and that's also fun, because when do you have like the evil people in the movie be queer and like, it's just fun.
I think you just got the attention of those two over there.
Yeah, what's up?
So they were like, me, can I shoot people?
Yeah. Anybody want to ask questions also, by the way? I mean, you can also ask all the other people here, basically. Her. That's Stefan. Okay, so anybody has a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what you said before about the nuanced character, or you don't want the trans character to be this hero but flawed as well.
Yeah.
Like, is it hard for you to balance like between nuance and asshole? And especially like when you have the for me when I write about queer characters, it's always like, okay, does not this character of this orientation become too evil or something when I make this plot?
Yeah, I know, and I've been having the same to some degree when I started, but I think that's a mistake, to be honest, because then we are again, making her different. But in the end, what we want to reach is that a trans character can be a psychopath without it having any damage on the trans community, because it's just like we want to be represented in any kind of way, and to some degree, yeah, I have to think about like, oh, she can't be that evil, or she can't be that. Yeah, I mean,
You draw a line to what?
well,
Head explosion?
for example, like there was like the cucumber scene in this movie, which I just inserted the cucumber into it because I had to make a character. I had to make the character sympathetic at this moment, and it's a very real thing for trans women that they are very demanded in the sex industry, and in the sex industry what they want from a trans woman basically is for her to fuck a man, in the ass. Yeah, that's it's true. It's true.
Counterintuitive.
Yeah, I mean, it's like men are buying the trans woman, it's only mostly men, and what they will want in most cases is that they fuck. But in this movie I couldn't I didn't want to at least have Jeanette having to fuck this guy with whatever, so the cucumber came into play. This is one example where I said like, okay, I have to make her a little more sympathetic through this cucumber, but still it reflects the reality, Yeah, sometimes I do it a bit, but I try not to do it at all, because I just want to let my characters flow, and just exist, they're when I write they exist, and I just let them flow. If they're evil, I want to do a trans character one day that's so fucked up, I kind of really want to do this, but I'm not ready yet, and I guess the time's maybe also.
Kristina, I don't know, maybe you answered this question already.
Yeah.
It just popped up in my mind when you started speaking about the cucumbers. So, what was the reason you didn't want to have genitalia in your movie? Because I think it's very nice, if these genres like art and porn get blurred, lines between it, like a lot of art house films I like to see are explicit. So, what's the underlying intention that you used cucumber instead of whatever else you could?
Well, first of all, to make her more sympathetic, and to give her a break also, it's even harder. I mean, if she at least did it with a cucumber, it's a bit better for her.
Did you consider it too violent as a scene?
To be honest, I saw some really, really dark, but some
violent toward her.
I mean, yeah, of course, it's violent against her. It's like also like even sexual violence against her, even though she kind of agrees and whatever, you know. But it is violence against her. But at the same time, I want to take like a scene like this and make it like, I mean, for me, I even think this scene is a little bit funny, to be honest. I mean, it's very dark humor, but for me, it's like a little bit funny, to be honest. Yeah, because it's so fucked up, you know. It's the fucked upness level of all of this is like so high that, and well, I'm just, when I was writing it, I was actually kind of laughing. I knew it was fucked up, but I was like, that's, you know. But like, I mean, I'm not trying to separate myself. I mean, I'm very like involved with people who do porn. Like there's a couple of people who do porn who are also in this movie, and I think it's a very, very interesting thing as well. It's just like this movie is not porn, so it was very clear for me from the beginning that it's the more respectful thing to do, to not, definitely not show her genitalia or whatever, you know, or like you empress or whatever, you know. It's like, it's not that kind of movie. I would only show them eventually in cases that the whole like tone of the scene is a different one. It's not like, it's maybe erotic or whatever, you know? But this is not erotic, you know. It's like the most unerotic fuck you've ever seen. You know?
So, you don't want them distracted.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, if there are other questions, I would like to start to, if you do, will you come here, you two? First of all, I think you found someone for your squad.
Yeah.
I could imagine them in a queer squad.
Me too, definitely.
Oh, really? Thank you.
The bad thing, we already shot the super queer fight squad, but we have another one coming up in a bar where it's like, let's talk later.
What do you have to do?
Well, we just need a lot of people, no matter what age or what gender, and they will just have to look menacing. Yeah, I'm done.
No, but you could no, okay. You can sit. No position.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Ruco La Pesto. And my name is KaiKai and Ruco. Yeah, and we will do a little Tuntenshow. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
We
you
just
take,
start now, right?
yeah, you start to set up.
And we thank you in this
We don't need to set up anything.
Okay.
Stage your mind.
Okay, then I thank you for everything. Thank you too, and good luck with the finishing of the next one.
Yeah, and thank you for this amazing event. It's amazing. It's awesome. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
At the moment, there were several incidents actually in the last few weeks that things like this happen. And I have first I have a voice of a friend of mine who says something about it, and then I'll sing the song. afterwards.
Ja, genau das bräuchten die. Irgendwelche Sachen, ey. Ich werde da einfach echt massiv vergewaltigt. Also ich schlage auch irgendwann mal jemand eins in die Fresse. Ich weiß, dass ich das einfach irgendwann mal tun werde, wenn die Situation gerade passt. Wenn sich da jemand so richtig einen abfreut, dann werde ich und ich mir denke, okay, jetzt kannst du es tun. Es guckt niemand, es sind keine Kameras da, du wirst davor nicht gefilmt und du hast wahrscheinlich auch gerade irgendwie einen dummen Helm an, den du danach nie wieder anziehen kannst. Dann werde ich zu der Person hingehen und sagen, okay, Pech gehabt. Ich habe mir fest vorgenommen, irgendwann eine transfeindliche Person eins in die Fresse zu schlagen. Und sie sind leider jetzt dran. Einfach so, dass die Leute halt mal merken, dass es halt auch Konsequenzen haben kann irgendwie. Und das, keine Ahnung, ich meine, wenn ich schon irgendwie als Mann bezeichnet werde, dann muss bitte dann auch so meine Privilegien hin, so.
Gender, Non-Konformität. Ich störe dein Alltagsbild, meine Existenz, was den Durst nach Norm dir nicht stillt. Vergiss die Kategorien im fingierten Verstand. Nur Sozialisation hat sie uns eingebrannt. Du läufst an mir vorbei, ich sehe die abstoßenden Blicke. Du wählst AfD, sorgst dafür, dass ich ersticke. Selbstgerecht und egozentrisch, wie du bist. Sterben Menschen, während du die Deutschlandflagge hisst. What? Glotzt mich nicht an, ich glotz dich auch nicht an. Du glotzt und fragst dich, Frau oder Mann. Glotz mich nicht an, ich glotz dich auch nicht an. Glotz mich nicht an, ey Mann, glotz mich nicht an. Glotz mich nicht an, ich glotz dich auch nicht an. Du glotzt und fragst dich, Frau oder Mann. Glotz mich nicht an, ich glotz dich auch nicht an. Glotz mich nicht an, ey Mann, glotz mich nicht an. Du läufst an mir vorbei und deine Macker-Kumpels machen Witze. Ja, die Kommentare tun mir weh, treffen mich wie Blitze. Dass männerwürdige Gewalt immer präsent ist. Raffst du nicht, weil du dich an deiner Schwanzlänge misst. What? Glotz mich nicht an, ich glotz dich auch nicht an. Du glotzt und fragst dich, Frau oder Mann. Glotz mich nicht an, ich glotz dich auch nicht an. Glotz mich nicht an, ey Mann, glotz mich nicht an. Glotz mich nicht an, ich glotz dich auch nicht an. Du glotzt und fragst dich, Frau oder Mann. Glotz mich nicht an, ich glotz dich auch nicht an. Glotz mich nicht an, ey Mann, glotz mich nicht an. Durch aller Länder, Lesben dieser Welt, wir nehmen Transboys, wir einen unsere Kraft. Wir öffnen heute das Portal in eine neue Welt. Komm mit uns, komm mit meine Hand und fang über Galaktik.
Okay. So, Kristina Maca,
Hi.
don't look at us while driving. Just tell us, where are we going?
We're going to the BODDINALE screening of our movie, T-Stories. It's the first official screening. Basically, we had a little private screening for cast and crew, but this is a premiere, and it's super nice to have it right now in BODDINALE, which is happening at the same time as BERLINALE, basically. So just in the right moment when you get excited about BERLINALE. That's cool. So we just come from this book reading right now. No, not book reading, like an writers event where they invited me as an author, and I presented some of my script, some scenes of my script, you know, and we showed a little piece of T-Stories actually. It was super cool. I wish I could have stayed for the whole thing, but I could only stay for half because big coincidence, or as like destiny wanted it to be, like both things are happening at the same day, basically also at the same time. So I had to leave early at one place and come late at the other. But let's see what's going on the other. There's supposed to be a drag show. There's another movie before mine, a short movie, 16 minutes long.
What is the underlying intention of T-Stories? Do you think you could give this away?
Yeah. Well, basically the intention of T-Stories, this popo. The intention of T-Stories is to make people empathize with trans women, because I think, yeah, we're getting more attention in media and whatever, and it's cool, but at the same time, like, many people still are really unaware of certain things, certain dynamics in a trans woman's lives, and I just, well, first of all, like, it's good to just raise awareness with this movie, and make people empathize, you know, like, not that they are more close to the topic, you know.
So would you agree on the statement that a lot of violence towards trans women is based in a lack of understanding, and with that, fear?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I guess every kind of hate crime basically is based on a lack of understanding. Yeah, lack of understanding for sure. That, yeah. And I don't know if a real hater is actually gonna change his ways, but who knows, maybe. If we're lucky, they are, right?
True.
And the other, like, thing I want to do with this movie is to have this trans characters that I could have looked up to when I was a kid, you know. Jeanette, I'm a super fan of Jeanette, basically, which is played by Aaliyah Love, and yeah.
So it should be positive models of identification you are trying to create, so that other trans people have...
But what is positive, you know? Like, were the role models I was looking up to, like, or the cool characters in movies I was looking up to, in the good, the bad, and ugly, in, like, Taxi Driver, in Atomic Blonde, or whatever, are they, in Pulp Fiction or in Kill Bill, are they, like, actually good role models? Are they good people? No, they ain't. They are, like, super flawed, you know? They have a lot of problems, they're violent, and that's a real character, you know? It's three-dimensional, and that's basically what I want to do, you know?
Yes, that's interesting.
So if they're too flat, the characters, you're not going to look up to them. They're just not interesting.
You cannot identify with things which are too flat, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. And then Jeanette, which is her, and there's a lot of bad things happening to her. For starters, she is being kicked out of her flat, and on top of everything, she has lots of dysphoria, which means, like, she has problems with her own body. So what Jeanette really does in order to cope with this dysphoria is basically she copes with it with drugs. So every time she really feels uncomfortable, she takes drugs, and the drugs are, like, kind of getting her even every time more and more deeper and deeper inside this, like, negative spiral that she's going through. And this is a trans mare. So at this point, this whole story takes place in, like, a day or something, 24 hours, something like this. So at this point where we are at the scene which I want to read, it has gotten really dark. She's been basically clocked. I don't know if you know what that means, but it means that somebody saw that she was trans, and, like, basically, it's the trans, or, you know, it's like calling her out in public. It's a very trans-specific term called clock. You know? A character that has appeared even before, and which is a chaser. So you're learning about trans terms today, because a chaser, it means, this is a term in trans community which means, like, there are certain kind of men who are really into trans women, but it's a fetish and they're kind of ashamed of it at the same time, you know, and it's very objectifying, and this kind of men trans women like to call chasers. So, okay, it's pretty dark, but as light as it can be. I mean, I'm just gonna read it. I hope it's not too extreme. Let's see. Brilliant day, Marlon. Hey, wake up! He kicks her softly. Wake up! Jeanette says, no. By the way, do you want to read it with me? Easy, baby. My car is right over here. This is going to be fun. Let's go for a ride. He holds the backseat car door open for Jeanette and looks around nervously. Jeanette gets in the car with all her stuff and closes the door and gets into the car of the driver's seat. Interior Marlon's car night. Marlon puts on the heater and starts driving with some terrible music playing. See? It's nice and warm. I even got some condoms. I have to say, you look really hot for a homeless junkie. He passes the condoms to Jeanette.
I want the age before we do this. And I want such a fucking dick to be clear. And this is a fast one. Are we clear? I don't want it to last for more than 20 minutes and you have to swear this to me or else I'm right out of here.
I'm tired of a world that tells me to stand up. When I've been standing for my rights so long that my feet stopped hurting and became numb. I'm tired of a world that tells me to be strong. When I've survived battles that should have never occurred in a nation that calls itself safe. I'm tired of a world that tells me to fight. When I've been a warrior long before I even knew what that meant. I'm tired of people saying words were powerless, in a world in which people get killed for the messages their tongues create.
Seeking it out as an outlet and using that to cope with the things that are going on. I sought out actually collecting my poems and making a book out of it. And that's one day on Instagram, I messaged this girl by the name of SoyaDeba, who had published a book, and I was seeking advice on how to do that. 2.5 years later, I call her my girlfriend now. And it's crazy how something so disastrous, it's like you said, like you go through something, it doesn't have to mean anything good at that moment, you know, because you can never know what it transforms into later on. And so that's kind of the groundwork I want to lay before I read this poem, because obviously it doesn't represent me anymore, but I'll give a good context. So, the poem is called Your Greatest Creation. For years on end, you were the apple of my eyes, a cue of your smile, my heart's tempo would rise. Unless somehow my dreams came true, in my heart it was impossible to have you. For no one else I could match this adoration, anonymously from your greatest creation. Pursuing you took all of my brave. I try to calm the storm, but I can't help but rave about how easy it was to just be me. And you're capturing my heart, you made me free. Never set a goal higher than our first kiss. The words to express it just don't exist. Finally, having you is pure elation. Sincerely yours, from your greatest creation. Young, oblivious, puppy love and all, made me forget that I still could fall. Soon I fell wobbling at my knees, torn down unexpectedly, as you please. At your mercy, I tried to understand why your fingers no longer clasp my hand. What is the meaning of this scary desolation? Please say something from your greatest creation. Twisted and knotted in an irreversible tie, before you, I never knew such an alluring lie. Your weapon of choice was that of inception, forcing me to master the art of deception. Looking at me now, you seem disgusted. And that's because in you, I once trusted. It's too late, I'm in love with you, but me moving on is the choice you'll rue. don't you forget the roots of this inspiration, stemming from you, from your greatest creation. So this next part, I actually am not going to read anything. I'm just going to tell you a small story and open up the dialogue a little bit. So, I'm from the United States. I'm sure you can tell by my accent. Growing up, my parents are from the Caribbean, and I was first generation Haitian American. And it was a bit of a contrast, because I lived in a low-income neighborhood with a lot of African Americans, and the values are not as similar as you would think between having parents from, at the time, the worst economy in the world and whatnot. But at the same time, I also went to a private school where there were very few people that looked like me. And so it was a big contrast for me and my siblings trying to figure out how to fit in. Understanding what was acceptable and being very versatile. And when you're young, you don't really have the perspective, the longevity of experience to really go off of, and realizing that you're figuring things out. You don't have that much experience for that. So this next story that also leads to a question that I want to share with you is about me playing basketball. I was playing varsity basketball in 2008. The previous year, we just won the league. We finished second in the state. We were a very good team. And despite us being a very good team, we were a very small school. And that made all the bigger schools a little bit bitter, right? So we were playing this one particular school. It was always really intense playing against them. Always really gets you hyped up. And we were winning the game, and I remember one particular play. I stole the ball, right? And pulled up to the three-point line, right in front of the student sections where all the fans are booing me and stuff. And I hit a three-pointer. It was really sweet though. It felt good. But on the way from stealing the ball to the three-point line before I shot it, I hear one of the players say, "Get that monkey." And it was interesting. At the time, it didn't bother me, because the way I saw it, even if you see me as a monkey, this monkey is beating you. So I thought that was an interesting way of looking at things. But it made me think years later about a very particular dynamic that, regardless of your race, what we need to deal with. So I asked this question: is it more important to be aware of the prejudices and injustice of the world that will affect you directly, or is it more important to have a strong sense of identity, even if you are ignorant to what's coming your way?
Bye.